scenario, using Panorama logs. With your templates and device groups defined and deployed, you now can manage your firewalls through Panorama. You can define network and device elements in templates, and you can define policy and objects in device groups. You also have successfully defined log forwarding profiles that instruct firewalls in the HQDG device group and the BranchDG device group to send copies of log events to Panorama. Panorama now provides you with a single management interface to examine application traffic, threats, URL requests, and other details across your network. In this section, you will use Panorama to locate specific information from traffic, URL filtering, and threat logs. You then will use this information to modify firewall configurations through Panorama to more effectively secure your network. Lab objectives. Generate traffic from Chicago and Berlin clients. Use information from traffic files to block certain applications. Use information in the URL log to modify the URL. Filtering profile, Corp, to block. Certain sites use information in the threat log. Use filters to locate specific hosts. Generating threat traffic. Export filter results to a spreadsheet and open in Calligra sheets. High-level lab steps. Load the LabStart configuration file. Load and commit the detailed lab steps. Load the LabStart configuration file. In the Panorama web interface, navigate to Panorama > setup > operations. Click Load, named Panorama Configuration Snapshot. Use the drop-down list for name to select EDU 220-11A Lab-6 Start Dex ML. Leave the remaining settings unchanged. Click OK to close the Load Named Configuration window. Click Close on the loading configuration window. Push the configuration to firewalls. Click the Commit option in the upper right corner, and then select Commit to Panorama. When the Commit to Panorama window appears, click Commit. Monitor the status of the commit. When the commit status is complete, click Close. Select the commit icon and choose Push to Devices. Click Edit Selections. Select the Device Groups tab and verify that the checkboxes for the Berlin FW firewall and the Chicago FW firewall are selected. Select the Force Template Values checkbox at the bottom. Click Yes on the Force Template Values warning message. On the Templates tab, select the checkboxes for the Chicago firewall and the Berlin firewall. Click OK. Click Push to start the process. Wait until the commit all jobs are complete. Click Close. Generate traffic through both firewalls. In this section, you will use scripts on the Berlin and Chicago clients to generate traffic. You will also generate traffic from the extranet server. This automated process will result in numerous entries in the traffic, threat, URL filtering, and user logs that you can examine in Panorama. On Client A, double-click the icon for URL Traffic Generator to launch the script in a terminal. terminal window. This script will loop continuously, and you should allow it to run uninterrupted until the end of this lab. This script clears the log files for the firewalls and Panorama. The script then generates various URL requests from users in Chicago to the Internet and to the extranet security zones. On Client A, open the Ramina application by double-clicking the icon on the desktop. Double-click the entry for Berlin Client. This application will connect to the Berlin workstation through SSH. Launch the BURL traffic. .sh script. BURL traffic. Less than enter greater than the script generates various URL requests from users in Berlin to the Internet and to the extranet security zones. This script will loop continuously, and you should allow it to run uninterrupted until the end of this lab. In the Ramina Remote Desktop Client window, double-click the entry for Server Extranet. This application will connect to the extranet server through SSH. Ramina will create a connection to the extranet server. Run the traffic generator using the following command. Using logs v1, less than enter greater than the script presents a confirmation window. Press less than enter greater than to start the process. This script runs simulated application traffic through the Chicago firewall and will take about 10 minutes to complete. Leave the Ramina connections open because you will need them later in this lab. Identify inappropriate web browsing. Upper management in your organization is interested in applying a more strict policy about which websites employees may visit while at work. However, before any restrictions are put into place, you have been asked to identify inappropriate categories that users are currently visiting so that management can make an informed decision about which types of sites to block. In this section, you will use the URL filtering log to determine whether employees are visiting the following URL categories. Weapons gambling. In Panorama, navigate to monitor greater than URL filtering. Select Corp DG from the device group drop-down list. This view will show you URL traffic from all firewalls in your organization. Add the URL category list column to the display. It may already be visible. Click the small down triangle icon next to category. Choose columns. Place a check mark in the box for URL category list. Panorama URL filtering service often assigns multiple categories to a single URL. The category column shows the primary category for a specific URL. The URL category list shows you all categories that a URL has been assigned. Click the first item in the URL category list for the first entry in the table. This example shows clicking of search engines. The link you click does not matter, as long as it resides in the URL category list. Clicking the link generates an entry in the filter field above the table. Change the category portion of the filter to gambling. Click the Apply Filter button. Small arrow in the upper right section of the window. Panorama will display only those entries for URLs that are in the gambling category. Note, columns have been rearranged and hidden in the preceding image. Use the filter builder. In the preceding section, you created a simple filter by clicking a single link in the URL filtering table and modifying the filter syntax. In this section, you will use the filter builder to create a combined filter. This combined filter will look for entries to either gambling or weapons websites. Click the Add Filter button, small plus sign in the upper right section of the window. In the Add Log Filter window, note that the existing syntax for the gambling filter is still in place. Under the connector column, highlight or Under the Attribute column, scroll down and highlight URL category list. Leave the operator set to Contains. In the Value field, enter Weapons. The value is case sensitive. Click the ADD button to append this filter to the existing entry for gambling. Click the Apply button to add this new filter to the URL filtering table. Click the Apply Filter button. Panorama will display entries for traffic to either gambling or weapons websites. Save this filter. You intend to use this filter frequently over the next few weeks. In this section, you will save the filter so that you can retrieve and apply it later. Click the Save Filter button, small diskette in the upper right section of the window. In the Save Filter window, enter URL as gambling or weapons. Note that the name you use should easily identify what the filter searches for. Click OK. Clear the filter field, small x in the upper right section of the window. Load the filter you created by clicking the Load Filter. In the Load Filter window, select the URL as gambling or weapons entry and click OK. Click the Apply Filter button. Panorama will display entries for traffic to either gambling or weapons websites based on the filter parameters. Click the Clear Filter button to remove this filter. Identify unauthorized online storage traffic. Your organization recently consolidated all cloud-based storage for client workstations to a single application. However, some employees still are using unauthorized services to store work and personal files. Your manager has instructed you to locate users who still are using Dropbox so that they can be notified to migrate any files to the official online storage application. In Panorama, navigate to monitor greater than traffic. Select Corp DG from the device group drop-down list. This view will show you traffic from all firewalls in your organization. In the first entry in the list, click the link listed in the application column. The following example shows clicking of the entry for SSL. The application you choose does not matter. You will modify the actual syntax. Clicking the link will generate the correct syntax in the filter field to search for entries that contain SSL in the application column. Manually change the listed application in the filter to Dropbox base. Remember that entries are case sensitive. Click the Apply Filter button. Panorama will display only those entries that contain Dropbox base as the application. You can see from the filter results that users are still employing Dropbox. Note that it may take a few minutes to generate Dropbox traffic. If the table is empty, periodically use the Refresh button to update the display. Export the filtered traffic to CSV. Management wants a list of employees who still are using Dropbox. In this section, you will export the filtered traffic log to a CSV file. In the traffic log, click the Export to CSV button, small page with X in the upper right corner of the window. In the Log Export window, click Download File. Save the file as Dropbox Users, CSV in the Downloads folder. On the desktop, double-click the Downloads icon. Right-click the entry for Log CSV and choose Open with Calligraphy. In the Text Import window, leave the settings unchanged and click OK. The log file opens in the Spreadsheet application. You can see that the exported log file includes the source user column. Note that when you export the contents of any log file to a CSV file, Panorama will include all columns for that log file type, regardless of the columns you have displayed or hidden in the Panorama web interface. By default, the maximum number of entries for the export from all log files is capped at 1,000. You can change the number of rows that Panorama exports for all tables. For more information on this topic, log in to lev.paloaltonetworks.com and search for how to increase the maximum number of rows in a CSV export to locate the most recent article. Close the Calligra Sheets window. Close the Downloads folder window. In the Firefox browser tab for Panorama, click Cancel on the Log Export window. Modify security policy rules to block Dropbox. You have used the traffic log in Panorama to verify some users are still employing unauthorized applications for file storage. Currently, you only need to employ this rule on firewalls in the HQDG. In this section, you will modify your security policy rules to prevent users in the HQ offices from accessing Dropbox. From the Panorama web interface, navigate to policies greater than security greater than pre-rules. You will create a pre-rule for firewalls so that local administrators cannot place an exception rule higher in the rule set. Select HQ DG from the device group drop-down list. Click Add. Enter or select the following values to create a security policy rule. Parameter value, General tab. Source zone usersnet, parameter value. Destination tab, Destination zone internet, Application tab, Application Dropbox. Service URL category tab, Service any. Actions tab, Actions deny log forwarding default. Click OK to create the new rule to block Dropbox. Modify the URL filtering profile to block categories. You provided a list of web categories to your organization's leadership team, and they have decided that employees should not visit certain types of websites while at work. You also have determined that you should block URL categories that pose a security risk to your organization. In this section, you will modify the Corp URL filtering profile to block dangerous or inappropriate categories. In Panorama, navigate to objects greater than security profiles greater than URL filtering. Select Corp DG from the device group drop-down list. Click the link for Corp URL to edit the entry. In the list of predefined categories, scroll down and locate adult. In the site access column, change the site access from alert to block. Repeat this step for each of the following categories to set them to block. Adult command Unknown weapons leave the remaining settings unchanged. You can click the Site Access column header to sort entries. The example shows the entries sorted in reverse order starting with block. This arrangement makes all the entries that have been set to block easier to see. Click OK, commit the changes, click the commit option in the upper right corner, and then select Commit to Panorama. Click Commit. Monitor the status of the commit. When the commit status is complete, click Close. Push the configuration to the firewalls. Select Commit greater than Push to Devices. Click Edit Selections. Select the Device Groups tab. And verify that the checkboxes for the Berlin FW firewall and the Chicago FW firewall are selected. Select the Force Template Values checkbox at the bottom. Click Yes on the Force Template Values warning message. On the Templates tab, select the checkboxes for the Chicago FW and the Berlin FW. Click OK. Click Push to start the process. Wait until the commit all jobs are complete. Click Close. Generate traffic. With the new security policy rule in place and with updates to the Corp URL profile, you need to verify that the managed firewalls are blocking traffic appropriately. You will run the traffic generating scripts again. In the Ramina Remote Desktop Client window, select the connection for server extranet. Run the traffic generator using the following command. Using logs v1. Less than enter greater than this script runs simulated application traffic through the Chicago firewall and can take from 5 to 10 minutes to complete. Allow this script to run until it completes. Note that the URL scripts on Client A and Client B should still be running. Examine the traffic log. Use a filter in the traffic log on Panorama to verify that your firewalls are blocking Dropbox. In Panorama, navigate to monitor greater than logs greater than traffic. Select all from the device group drop-down list. Clear any filters you may already have in place. Click the link for Allow under the Action column for the first entry in the table. This action will create the syntax for a filter. Modify the filter to look for entries in which the action is not equal to Allow. Action NQ Allow. Click the Apply Filter button. Panorama displays a list of entries for sessions that have been blocked. You also could filter the entries for Dropbox space as the application. Examine the URL filtering log. Click the Apply Filter button. Panorama displays a list of entries for sessions that have been blocked. You also could filter the entries for Dropbox space as the application. Examine the URL filtering log. Use the URL filtering log in Panorama to verify that your firewalls are blocking web browsing to inappropriate and dangerous website categories. Navigate to monitor greater than logs greater than URL filtering. Drag and drop the action column to the left side of the window between Generate Time and Category. Set the device group drop-down list to all. Clear any filters you have in place. In the filter field, enter the following: Action, EQ, Block, RR. As you use filters and log files, you will become more familiar with the syntax for creating and modifying filters. You always can save your filters or use the filter builder to create more advanced syntax based on your needs. Click the Apply Filter button to see the results. Create a combined filter. You can create filters that use a combination of fields. In this section, you will create a filter to view traffic that has not been allowed within the last 15 minutes. In Panorama, select the Dashboard tab. Under the General section at the bottom, note the current date and time. Navigate to monitor greater than logs greater than traffic. Clear any filters you have in place. Click the Add a Filter icon in the upper right corner of the window. For Connector, select End. For Attribute, select Action. For Operator, select Not Equal. For Value, select Allow. Click the ADD button, but do not click Apply or Close yet. In the same Add Log Filter window, click N in the Connector column. For Attribute, scroll down and select Time Generated. For Operator, select Greater Than or Equal. For Value, use the drop-down icon in the first section to select the current date. This example shows March 9, 2022. Under the Value, use the drop-down icon in the second section to select a time about 15 minutes before your current time. For example, if the current time in Panorama is 13:35, select the value of 13:15. Click Add. The filter build now displays the syntax for this combined filter. Click Apply. Click the Apply Filter button in the upper right corner of the window. Lab Cleanup. Clear any filters you have in the traffic, threat, and URL filtering log tables. Select the Ramina connection for the Berlin client. Use CTRL-C to halt the script. Type exit less than enter greater than to close the SSH connection to the Berlin client host. Select the Ramina connection for the server extranet and type exit less than enter greater than to close the SSH connection to the extranet host. On client